Hey everyone, it's Ashley and I'm back with an Earth Day collaboration project, and I'm actually collaborating with Crafty Pierre here on YouTube. I will leave a link in the description box down below so you can definitely check out Crafty Pierre's channel too, and we both are creating something using recycled materials. So I'm actually going to show you guys how to make your own recycled tote bag out of t-shirts, so stay tuned. So the supplies that you will need to create your own is either a needle and thread to sew with, or if you have a machine handy, that definitely helps as well. I picked a thread that actually matches the color of the t-shirts, and you will need a pair of scissors and 2 t-shirts. So the first step that you're actually going to do is decide how large you want your tote bag to be. Depending on the pattern, you can actually make it kind of like a shorter square one, or you can make it a longer rectangle one. So for this one, I'm actually going to create a square, and I decided that I'm going to go ahead and cut a straight line across here right underneath the armpits, and then on the sides, because this is angled, I'm going to cut this in a straight line as well on both sides so that I have matching squares. And this will be the front and the back of my actual tote. For this, if you have any pins handy, it will definitely make it a little bit easier. And one way to make sure that it doesn't shift is to actually pin it along the bottom as well so that the pieces stay exactly where you want them. After you've marked a line, don't be afraid to go ahead and cut it. You should have the seams on the bottom being held, and the sides will keep it together. You can actually go ahead and save the leftover pieces and turn those into pockets as well. So after you're done with that part, the next step is to lay this out as flat as possible and to just go ahead and trim up the sides. You might want to pin this together before you start doing the cutting. That way the pieces don't move. And I'm just going ahead and using a marker again. This one's a fabric marker that disappears, but you can use a regular marker. It won't matter because these will become seams, so you won't actually see this in the future. And then just repeat this process on the other side. So once you have actually unpinned everything, you're going to go ahead and take the front side and you're actually going to switch this over, and you're going to be working along the top end of the actual bag. So this is where your top seam of your bag would be. So if you're carrying something, it would be on the top, and we don't want this open seam here. So we're going to actually turn this and create a little seam. I'm going to turn this probably 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch to create kind of like a fold here along the top. And then I'm going to go ahead and actually sew this. I have the needle set so that it's at the 1/2 inch mark, and I'm going to follow this all the way around. I'm keeping it actually right around the width of the actual foot. So once you start sewing, you're going to want to sew several stitches, and then you're going to hit the button to go backwards, and you want to create a nice even seam in the back. So this actually just ties it so that it doesn't unravel. And then you're going to continue sewing all along the top here. Once you get to the end of your seam, you're going to go ahead and continue to the end, and then you're going to hit the backstitch button and backstitch several just to tighten it up. And then you're going to raise the needle and go ahead and clip these off. And then you should have a finished seam all along the top here, and this is when you're holding your bag. This is the very top end of the bag. And then you're going to continue this as well for the other side of the bag. You're going to take the prettiest part of the bag and turn it downwards, and then create a seam all along the top here so that you have a nice finished edge. If you'd like to create a pocket, you can take the extra fabric that was left from the top of your t-shirt and simply fold over the top here and create a very small seam. You can make this one probably 1/4 of an inch because it's mostly going to be decorative seam on the top. And just sew this straight along the top. So once you have the top sewn, you're going to go ahead and take the side that you actually want the pocket on. Because this one is a plain black fabric here on this side, I thought it would be nice to dress it up a little bit. And I'm going to go ahead and add this on here. So this is the top section of the back of the bag. I'm just going to actually fold this over so that it has a little bit of a seam there, and that way it stays easily. And then I will actually sew this straight down onto where I want this pocket to be. So what you're going to do is just fold that over and then sew that. When you get to the end, you're going to want to make sure that you fold under the bottom as well. And you're going to finish off your stitch there, and then you can go back and do the same to the other side. So once you have the two pieces that are finished along the top seam where the top of the bag would be, you're going to take the best sides of the fabric, which is the part that would be on the outside normally, and you're going to put them so that they face each other. So this is the back here, and I'm going to have the nice fabric facing up. And then you're going to take the nice fabric that's facing, instead of having it face this way, you're going to turn it so that it would be inside out as well. So both of the nice sides of the fabric, which are called the right sides of the fabric, will be touching. And basically it makes your bag inside out. So while you're going to go ahead and sew this, the first thing that you're going to do is start along the top here. And you're just going to follow this seam all the way down. And then when we get to the bottom part, we can actually turn, and when we get to the bottom part here, we can actually turn and continue it all the way along. And I'm going to keep the 1/2 inch seam here. I just like it to have a little bit of extra space when I make bags so that they're a little stronger and I can reinforce it. And then when you get to the end, you can go ahead and leave the needle in and pick up the foot and just rotate it down, and you can go ahead and continue sewing straight down. So to actually make the handles, the next step is to take the sleeves of your shirt if you have a longer shirt, or if you have a larger shirt, you can use the top and back part as well. But for this one, I had sleeves left over and I thought this would be perfect. So what I'm going to do is I actually pinned kind of the shape of the cloth that I want to use, and this is double-sided here, so it's going to cut through 2 layers. I'm just going to go ahead and cut kind of a very long rectangle here, and then I'm going to turn it and sew it. So once you undo it, you have just a straight rectangle here. I want the best side of the fabric facing outwards, so I'm going to actually put the right sides of the fabric together. So I'm going to fold this in half and have the ugliest side on the outside here, and I'm just going to sew straight down and create kind of a little loop here. Also going to create another one of these that matches exactly using the other arm as well. And the next step after you've created both of them is to take this, and you want this to be right side out, so you're going to flip this inside out, and that way you can create your own handle. So once you have that turned right side out, just make sure that you have the seam all along the bottom here so it looks, really well. And then you're going to take your bag that you've created with pocket, and it's still inside out, so you're going to go ahead and place your actual handles where you want them to be. You're going to want to probably use a pin for this. So keep this front piece out of the way while you're working on this, and you're just going to want to set this up and decide where you actually want to attach the handles. So you can line it up so that it lines up perfectly with the actual center of the bag. Once you have them lined up, you're just going to want to pin it there so that it will stay when you're sewing it. And I'm just going to run that pin through there, and I want this one to be right around this region here, so I'm going to pin that too. If you're using a type of material where you're worried about the ends fraying here, this is polyester, so it's probably not going to fray, but if you're worried about it, you can always turn that over and sew it so you have finished seams on both. But what you're going to do is make sure that the front piece is completely separated from where you're working on, and you're going to want to take this, just this side only, and run the handles underneath here to sew them. And once you have it all lined up and adjusted, you can take your little pin out of the way to sew. Because this is a seam that will hold a lot of weight, it is a good idea to actually reinforce it again. You can do a second line along closer to the top, or you can also do a zigzag stitch along here. I think I'm just going to do a second line closer to the top for the second seam, and that way it can hold a little bit more weight. Once you finish the handle on one side, you're going to want to go ahead and make sure that you clip all the extra strings off because it gives your product a better finished look. So I'm just going to go ahead and remove all these little extra strings. There you actually have a finished handle, and what I'm going to go ahead and do is do this on the reverse side as well with the other one, and then we'll have a tote finished. And once you have actually finished putting the handles together, all you have to do is just flip the bag inside out, and then you have your own instant tote bag. And just make sure to pop out the corners a little bit. That's usually the only spot that needs a little bit of extra help. And there you go, you have your own tote bag. There's the front of it, and on the back I have the little pocket, and it's great to throw like little random accessories in, or you could make these just to carry your groceries in if you want to have reusable shopping bags and you just have old t-shirts lying around, or maybe something cute that you picked up at a yard sale that didn't cost a fortune. Then you can go ahead and make yourself a cute little tote bag. I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial for how to make your own tote bag. Please check out Crafty Pierre's channel as well to see the tutorial created there. And if you like this video, please like and subscribe, and I will see you guys later. Bye!